Okay, so have you ever felt just like overwhelmed by nutrition advice? It's like everywhere you turn, right? One minute it's all about cutting carbs, and the next it's like protein is king.
Oh, yeah, totally, and it's like, you just end up feeling like you're in this maze of, like, do's and don'ts.
Exactly. And it's so confusing.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It is. And that's exactly what we're going to try to cut through
Yeah,
today.
that's a great way to put it.
We're going on a deep dive into the source you sent me called Nutrition para una vida radiante, which I think translates to Nutrition for a Radiant Life.
You got it.
Pretty straightforward title.
Yeah, nice and simple.
Yeah. And I was really struck by how it like approaches our nutritional needs as something that changes through different life stages.
It's not static, is it? It really
Yeah.
emphasizes that, yeah.
No, not at all. And when I saw that, I thought, okay, we need to unpack this.
Yeah, for
Because it's not about like the latest fad diet or anything. It's
Correct.
about building those healthy habits early on and then, understanding how our bodies change as we age.
Exactly.
And our mission today, I guess, is to try to pull out those clear takeaways, those like nuggets of wisdom from this piece without making it feel like you need a PhD in nutrition.
Exactly, it shouldn't be overwhelming.
No, not at all. So we're going to try to explore what this source highlights about nutrition during adolescence, adulthood, and older age.
Sounds good to me.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and what's really interesting right from the get-go is that the source really focuses on adolescence.
Yeah.
That teenage period.
Okay. Yeah.
It's such a crucial time for establishing lifelong patterns, and one of the first connections it makes is between diet and something a lot of teenagers experience. Acne.
Yes, the classic teenage skin struggles.
Exactly, and the source kind of draws a direct line between things like saturated fats, refined sugars, even dairy, and how they can make acne worse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently they can really increase sebum production and inflammation in the skin.
So it's not just a myth that certain foods can trigger breakouts?
That's right. The source suggests that there's a real connection. And it even gives some examples like fast food, hamburgers and fries, those sugary drinks that are so tempting, milk, chocolate, whole milk products.
Yeah, so not necessarily completely avoiding them, but being mindful of how much you're consuming.
That's the idea. Moderation is key.
Right, and the source also highlights foods that can actually support healthy skin,
Oh, that's good.
like those vibrant berries packed with antioxidants, which help protect skin cells from damage.
Antioxidants are so important.
Yeah, they really are. And then you've got carrots full of vitamin A, which is crucial for skin health, and spinach, loaded with tons of vitamins and minerals.
Good old spinach.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The source even points to salmon because of its omega-3 fatty acids.
Those are supposed to be great for reducing inflammation, right?
Exactly. And they can help with skin health too. And let's not forget nuts and almonds, which provide vitamin E and zinc, both important for skin repair and overall health.
So it's not all doom and gloom. There are things you can eat to help your skin.
Exactly. It's about making informed choices.
Okay, so we talked about skin health, but the source also emphasizes the importance of nutrition for overall development and growth during adolescence.
Makes sense. Teenagers are growing so fast, their bodies need all the fuel they can get.
That's right. And the source specifically talks about the role of breakfast and healthy snacks.
hmm
What are your thoughts on why those are so crucial during this stage?
Well, I mean, teenagers are constantly on the go, right? Their bodies are working overtime to grow and develop, so skipping meals or just relying on sugary processed snacks,
Yeah, those aren't going to cut it.
no, they just don't provide the sustained energy and the essential nutrients that their bodies need.
And the source even gives some practical suggestions for healthy breakfast options, like yogurt with fruit and granola,
Oh, that's a good one.
or whole wheat toast with avocado for something more
Yeah.
savory.
Yeah, those are really easy to make too.
Exactly. And for snacks, it keeps it simple. Fresh fruits, nuts, yogurt.
Yeah, easy things to grab on the go.
And speaking of essential nutrients, the source really pinpoints a few. They're particularly important during adolescence. Calcium for strong bones.
Right.
You get that from dairy products and leafy greens.
Got it.
Iron, which is crucial for energy levels. So you can find that in lean red meat legumes. And yes, more spinach.
Spinach is a real superstar.
It is. And of course, protein is essential for muscle development. You can get that from sources like eggs and chicken.
Okay, so we've got calcium, iron, protein, what else?
Hydration. We can't forget about hydration. The source is very clear that water should be the main drink of choice.
Which can be a challenge with teenagers, right?
It can be. There are so many sugary drinks out there that are tempting, but they don't offer much nutritional value, and they contribute to excess sugar intake.
Yeah, so the source is saying stick to water as much as possible.
Right, and it goes beyond just listing foods. It actually provides some guidance on how to navigate the food environment.
That's super helpful.
like how to understand those food labels, which can be confusing.
Yeah, they can feel like they're written in code sometimes.
Mm. I know, right? The source specifically tells you what to pay attention to when it comes to sugar content, saturated fat levels, and sodium.
Okay, so that's really valuable information.
It is, and it also touches on something that's relevant for everyone planning healthy meals on a budget.
Because let's face it, food can be expensive.
It really can be, and the source acknowledges that and offers some tips for making healthy choices without breaking the bank.
So it's not just about saying eat healthy, it's about providing realistic solutions.
Exactly, and it even gives some concrete examples of swaps you can make to resist the temptation of fast food and processed options.
Like what?
Well, instead of soda, choose water with a squeeze of lemon, or opt for baby carrots instead of fries.
Those are simple changes, but they can make a difference.
That's the idea, small, manageable steps that add up over time.
Okay, so we've covered adolescence, those crucial formative years.
Yeah, we have.
Now let's shift gears and talk about adulthood. And the source really emphasizes maintaining balance and energy in this stage and how diet plays a role in preventing disease.
What's really interesting here is the focus on equilibrium, not just fixating on one or two superfoods, but making sure you're getting a variety of nutrients from different food groups.
A balanced approach.
Exactly. And it recommends building your meals around fiber-rich foods like whole grains.
Okay, like what kind of whole grains are we talking about?
Oats, quinoa, brown rice, and legumes, those are all good sources of fiber.
And fiber's important for keeping things moving right.
It is, and it also recommends healthy fats like avocado olive oil and lean protein options like chicken, fish, and again, legumes.
So it's like a well-rounded approach to eating.
That's the goal, and just like with adolescence, the source reminds us to be mindful of certain things like alcohol and processed foods.
Yeah, this can be sneaky culprits in adult diets.
They're often convenient and readily available, but they don't offer much nutritional value.
Okay, so we're being mindful of those.
And this is a big one for adult stress. The source delves into how stress can really impact our eating habits.
Oh, tell me about it when I'm stressed. I just want to eat all the comfort food.
I know exactly what you mean, and the source acknowledges that and actually suggests some foods that might help manage stress levels.
Really? Like what?
Dark chocolate, specifically 70% cacao or higher.
Okay, so not just any chocolate bar.
Right. The darker, the better, in this case, nuts like almonds and walnuts.
Those are good for you anyway.
They are. And green tea, likely because of its antioxidant properties.
Green tea is so calming, too.
It is. And the source also touches on the link between mental health, like anxiety and depression, and how that can influence our eating behaviors.
Yeah, that mind-body connection is so important.
It really is. And it's often overlooked in discussions about nutrition.
Okay, so for those busy adults out there juggling careers, families, and everything else, what are some practical takeaways from the source for maintaining healthy eating habits?
Well, the source offers some really effective strategies like meal prepping.
Meal prepping, okay.
Yeah, taking some time to cook larger quantities of food and then portioning it out for meals throughout the week.
That can be a real time saver.
It can, especially on those busy weeknights. It also suggests quick and easy meal ideas like vegetable stir-fries and complete salads.
Stir-fries are so versatile.
They are, and they don't require a lot of cooking time. And then there's batch cooking.
Batching, is that different from meal prepping?
It involves preparing individual components of meals in advance, like roasting a big tray of vegetables, cooking a pot of quinoa, grilling some chicken breasts.
Oh, I see. So you have the building blocks ready to go.
Exactly. Then throughout the week, you can mix and match those components to create different meals.
That's a great idea.
And finally, the source brings up mindful eating.
Mindful eating, okay.
Really paying attention to the experience of eating, savoring each bite, and tuning into your body's hunger and fullness signals.
So the opposite of just mindlessly snacking while you're watching TV.
Exactly. Being present and aware of what you're eating.
Okay, so we've covered adolescence and adulthood now. Let's move on to older age. The source emphasizes that our nutritional needs continue to evolve as we get older and that the risk of nutrient deficiencies can increase.
That's right. The source explains that as we age, our bodies may not absorb nutrients as efficiently, and our energy requirements might change.
Okay, so what kind of dietary changes does the source recommend for older adults?
Well, it emphasizes nutrient-dense foods, especially those rich in calcium.
Calcium, that's important for bone health, right?
Exactly. And good sources include low-fat dairy options and even sardines.
Sardines, okay, I wouldn't have thought of that.
They're actually a great source of calcium, and then there's vitamin D, which you can find in fatty fish and eggs.
Vitamin D is important for so many things.
It is. And then protein is crucial for maintaining muscle mass as we age. Good sources include legumes and eggs.
Okay, so calcium, vitamin D, protein, and what about hydration?
Still incredibly important. The source stresses the need to stay adequately hydrated and also to prevent malnutrition, which can be a concern for older adults.
Malnutrition, how does that happen?
Well, various factors can contribute, like decreased appetite, difficulty chewing or swallowing, or even just limited access to nutritious food.
So it's something to be aware of.
Definitely. And this also talks about the role of diet in preventing chronic diseases that become more prevalent in later years, like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and osteoporosis.
So good nutrition can really make a difference in preventing those conditions.
That's what the source suggests. And it also highlights foods that are beneficial for brain health as we age. Things like fatty fish rich in omega-3s, nuts, leafy green vegetables.
So those are good for your brain and your body.
Exactly, a win-win. And the source also emphasizes the importance of supporting good digestion with fiber from fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, and probiotics, which you can find in yogurt.
Okay, so lots of good advice for older adults. And what about practical tips? Does the source offer any specific tips for this age group?
It does. It advises adapting recipes to meet individual needs, like choosing softer textures if chewing is difficult, or opting for foods that are easier to digest.
Makes sense.
It also provides tips for smart grocery shopping, which we'll talk about more in a bit, and suggests using spices and herbs to enhance flavor and stimulate appetite, which can sometimes decline with age.
That's a great idea, using spices and herbs to make food more appealing.
It is a great way to add flavor without relying on extra salt or unhealthy fats.
Okay, so let's dive into that smart shopping advice. The source actually tailors its recommendations to different age groups.
It does, which is really helpful.
So for adolescents, what are the key takeaways?
The focus for adolescents is on building nutritional literacy and awareness, teaching them how to read food labels so they can make informed choices about sugar, saturated fat, and sodium.
So they can understand what they're actually putting in their bodies.
Exactly. And it also encourages buying seasonal produce, which is often more affordable and can be more nutrient-rich.
And planning shopping trips with a grocery list to avoid those impulse buys.
That's a good one. Impulse buys can really derail your healthy eating goals.
Okay, so we're empowering adolescents to make healthy choices.
That's the goal. And for adults, what about them?
Yeah, what kind of shopping tips does the source offer for adults?
Well, it suggests prioritizing fresh and seasonal produce, maybe exploring local farmers markets for a wider variety and potentially better quality.
Farmers markets are great.
They are. And it also recommends taking advantage of sales and discounts on healthy foods and being diligent about comparing prices and reading those nutritional labels.
So being a savvy shopper.
Exactly. Making informed choices.
And finally, what about older adults? Any specific shopping advice for them?
The source recommends buying groceries in smaller quantities to minimize food waste.
That's a good point, especially if you're cooking for one or two people.
Right. And it also suggests choosing foods that are easy to chew and digest and considering frozen fruits and vegetables.
Frozen fruits and vegetables can be really convenient.
They are, especially if getting to the store frequently is a challenge.
Okay, so lots of great tips for shopping smarter no matter your age.
And let's not forget about healthy cooking strategies.
Oh yeah, cooking is a big part of it.
It is, and the source breaks it down by life stage,
Yeah.
just like with shopping.
So starting with adolescents, what kind of cooking tips does it offer for them?
For teenagers, it's all about building confidence and basic skills in the kitchen.
Getting them comfortable cooking for themselves.
Exactly. The source suggests starting with simple, healthy recipes like salads, smoothies, and wraps.
Those are all pretty easy to make.
They are. And it also encourages experimenting with herbs and spices to add flavor without relying on excessive salt.
That's a good tip. Herbs and spices can really elevate a dish.
They can. And the source also emphasizes healthy cooking methods like baking, grilling, and steaming.
So showing them that healthy food can be delicious.
Exactly. And what about adults? What kind of cooking strategies does the source recommend for them?
Yeah, they're often juggling busy schedules, so time-saving tips would be helpful.
Absolutely. The source highlights the efficiency of cooking in larger batches and freezing portions for later.
That can be a lifesaver.
It can, especially on those busy weeknights. And it also encourages using fresh and seasonal ingredients whenever possible and adapting traditional recipes to make them healthier.
So like reducing the amount of fat or sugar?
Exactly. Making those small tweaks to make your favorite recipes healthier.
Smart. And for older adults, what about them?
For older adults, the focus often shifts to adapting recipes to accommodate changing physical needs.
So like if chewing or swallowing becomes difficult?
Exactly. The source suggests modifying the texture of foods and, as we mentioned earlier, using herbs and spices to boost flavor and make food more appealing, especially if appetite is reduced.
And it also mentions purees and soups.
Those can be easier to digest and still provide essential nutrients.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from adolescents to adults to older adults.
We have, and there's one thing that's essential for everyone, no matter their age.
Hydration.
You got it. Hydration is truly a cornerstone of good health.
Okay, so remind us why staying properly hydrated is so important.
Well, our bodies are mostly water, and we need it for so many functions, like regulating body temperature, transporting nutrients, and flushing out waste products.
So it's not just about quenching your thirst.
It's much more than that. The source emphasizes the importance of drinking water regularly throughout the day, even before you feel thirsty.
So don't wait until you're parched.
Right. Keep a reusable water bottle handy as a reminder to sip throughout the day and include water-rich fruits and vegetables in your diet, like watermelon, cucumber, oranges.
Those are all delicious and hydrating.
They are. And the source reiterates the importance of limiting or avoiding sugary drinks altogether.
Okay, so water is our best friend.
It is. And now let's talk about something really important, the mind-body connection, specifically the interplay between mental health and our eating habits.
That's a fascinating topic. How does our mental state influence our eating?
Well, our emotional state can really impact the types of food we choose and our overall eating patterns.
When I'm stressed, I tend to reach for comfort foods.
That's a common response. And the source encourages mindful eating, paying attention to your body's hunger and fullness cues, and savoring each meal without distractions.
So being present in the moment when you're eating?
Exactly. And the source also highlights the importance of seeking professional support if you're experiencing eating issues that might be linked to stress, anxiety, or depression.
So it's not just about willpower, it can be a more complex issue.
Right. And it also talks about creating a supportive, healthy eating environment, establishing regular meal times, avoiding eating in front of screens, fostering a relaxed atmosphere around meals.
That all makes sense.
And the source briefly mentions the power of movement, how regular physical activity complements good nutrition.
Oh yeah, movement is so important.
The source emphasizes that regular physical activity works synergistically with a healthy diet.
So it's not just about one or the other, it's about both.
Exactly. It encourages finding activities you enjoy and setting realistic fitness goals.
And it doesn't have to be intense workouts, right?
No, even incorporating regular walks or other forms of moderate activity can make a big difference.
Okay, so we're taking a holistic approach to a radiant life.
That's the idea. And to help bring all of this together, the source provides some example recipes that are tailored to each age group.
Oh, that's awesome. I love having recipes to try.
Me too. So for adolescents, the source suggests a fruit smoothie with yogurt and oats, a grilled chicken salad with fresh vegetables, and a hummus wrap with avocado and other veggies.
Those all sound delicious and easy to make.
They are. And for adults, there's baked salmon with asparagus and quinoa, a lentil stew with brown rice, and a chickpea salad with avocado and tomato.
Those are some really hearty and flavorful options.
They are. And for older adults, the examples include pureed pumpkin soup with shredded chicken vegetable soup with noodles and chicken, and baked fruit with cinnamon.
Okay, those sound both comforting and nutritious.
Exactly. So lots of inspiration for the kitchen.
We've covered a lot of ground today in our deep dive into nutrition para una vida radiante.
We have. It's been a really insightful exploration of nutrition across the lifespan.
It has. And what would you say is the core message that resonates most from this source?
I think the most important takeaway is that nutrition plays a profound role in our overall well-being at every stage of life.
From fueling growth in adolescence, to preventing disease in adulthood, to supporting longevity in older age?
Exactly. And the source really highlights that by understanding our evolving nutritional needs and implementing those practical tips we discussed, we can truly live a more radiant life.
Absolutely. It's not about strict diets or fads. It's about creating sustainable, healthy habits.
Small changes that add up over time.
And on that note, here's a final thought for our listeners to ponder.
Okay, come listen.
Considering everything we've explored today about the connection between diet, age, and well-being, what is one small, sustainable change you feel inspired to make in your own eating habits starting today?
And how might that change ripple outwards to other aspects of your life?
It's something to think about, food for thought.
I like that.
Until next time.
See you then.